I think the biggest reason that I'm successful in what I do is because it actually matches with my natural God-given skill set. I've always been highly organized. I've always kind of been like a leader, and I can corral people, and I don't want to persuade people to kind of do what needs to be done to get it done. If you put those skills on a paper, leader, organized, and someone who can figure it out, it's like,
Hired.
what are you supposed to do with your life? There's no like career that's for that. But what I found was those were the skills I was using every single day. So when I talk to young people in school, that's the biggest thing I tell them is forget job, forget title, forget industry. What are you good at? What are your natural skills? What are those skills? And let's find a career that matches that, because then you'll never feel like you're working because you're actually doing what you like to do every day.
Speaking of power, I know on your podcast, the Young Boss podcast, you always say your youth is your power.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about where kind of the foundation of that came from?
I think when I first started with my dad, he never treated me like I was young. He never treated me like a child, which I actually think is difficult for parents. He let me fail and let me try things and let me do things. And I think that in youth, that is your chance to run 1,000 miles an hour. Everything that happens in life, you buy a house, that's a weight that ties you down. You get a dog, that's a weight. You have a kid, that's a weight. That's a partnership, that's a weight. Like everything in life, and I'm not saying negatively, but now when I travel, I've got to think about 50 things. 10 years ago when it was just me and he'd say,
No.
let's go to San Diego, we have a work trip, I'd be like, done, like
Yeah.
out of here. Now it's so much more coordination. So youth, when you don't necessarily have all of these weights holding you down, you can fly so much harder and faster.
I want to talk really quick about imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
That's something that I feel like everyone struggles with it at
Yeah.
times. Like, what advice do you have for people that maybe are walking with imposter syndrome?
It is one of the hardest things, and I don't know if it ever goes away. I don't know that it ever goes away. There's two things that I do know. One, every person who I've ever spoken to who has more experience, more money, they're older than me, they know what they're doing seemingly, they also have imposter syndrome. Every single one of them. And that kind of makes me feel better because
Yeah.
it does make me kind of feel like we're taught our whole lives, oh, adults know what they're doing. Now we're adults, and it's kind of like, do we? I didn't get the manual. I didn't get the memo. Like, what are we doing here? It's all perspective. And once you realize that they're also scared, like, then
Yeah.
you're kind of like, oh, okay, if we're in the same boat, then don't let it affect you.
Want to hear more from this episode? Check out the full conversation on Chess, Not Checkers, available now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're loving these stories and want more real talk on career moves and mindset shifts, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss a drop. Because around here, we don't just play, we change the game.